What's up guys, Dan here, Coalcracker Bushcraft. Beautiful day here in eastern Pennsylvania, so I'm spending some time in the woods playing around like we always do here on this channel. So today I'm going to show you what I've been working on today, and that is a primitive trap called the rolling log trap. Now for this trap you are going to need 2 stakes. These things need to be a little bit more robust because those stakes are going to hold a log chunk in place. So that's the third part, is the log chunk. You're also going to need a straight stick that's a little bit bigger than a number 2 pencil, and then a straight stick about the size of a number 2 pencil. And then the only man-made item we're going to be using for this is paracord. You can definitely do this with natural materials off the landscape by making yourself some cordage, but we have paracord, so that's what we're going to use. Step 1, you're going to dig a hole. Now you need to make sure that your hole is deep enough and the sides of the hole are smooth enough that an animal is not going to very easily be able to crawl back up this. And then if you can, when you find your trapping location, if you can get a slight incline to one side of this trap would be best. That way our log can roll over the hole. It's ultimately going to cover up that hole, okay? Now, with our log here, knowing it's going to roll and cover over this, you want to find, when you are deciding on what stump you're going to use, where that lays nice and securely over that hole. So in this case, that hole is pretty close to totally covered up. A little bit of space here, a little bit of space in the back, but we're going to close that in a little bit with our pegs. So this front peg, once this is nice and settled, I'm going to take this front peg and I'm going to drive this down into the ground. All right, so the next step, you're going to take the next larger peg that you made, and it's going to go to the back side of the trap setup. So our log nice and sturdy over the hole, front peg is pounded down into the ground, okay? Now what we're going to do is we're going to roll the log until the opening of the hole is just exposed. So that is exposed in its entirety right now. And at that point, I'm going to take this stake and I'm going to set it to the back of that log, okay? Nice and tight up against that log. Now it's important when you do this, if I roll this forward, okay, to make sure that this log actually rolls when you leave it go from this back peg, okay? If you're on more of a flat surface, use some of the dirt, as you can see that I used here, okay, from the hole that you dug. That's going to give it some lift. So when we set our trigger here in a second and it lets go, it rolls forward, okay? So I'm even going to use a little bit more dirt here just to make sure that's in place. All right, perfect. Let this roll forward. Now I'm going to pound this into the ground. All right, so now that my back stake is in, what I did was I went ahead and I tied my paracord onto that. Okay, now I left the whole hank intact because of the fact I don't know where my length is going to fall yet. So what I want to do next is I'm going to take one of them straight sticks that I've had and I'm going to roll my log all the way back to its final position, and then I'm going to pull that paracord nice and tight around the log until I am in the center point of the log. Okay, so we're considering this a center point. This would be the top, ground level is the bottom. Here's the center point. From the center point of the log to the opening of the hole, that should be the size of your next stick. So that is one of the measurements you're going to have to make here. Once you get that situated, okay, what you're going to do then is you're going to tie that paracord onto that set stick, okay? Really nice and easy. I'm just using a clove hitch here. That will get the job done. And then I'm going to test it. If it seems like, in my case, I tied it a little too low, pull it back and just retie it. All right, now once your stick is set up across the front, you're going to take another straight stick, and this is going to be the trip stick. So this is going to go from this to your upright on this side. Now I will say, through this process, okay, I knocked this upright down with my foot so it busted the dirt. So all that I did was I took a longer stick and I drove it down, which is going to work just fine. It still falls over, securing our hole, okay? So I'm going to bring this back. So all I'm going to do to measure this now is go from stick to stick, see where we're at, and then I'm just going to take my saw once I get this measurement where I want it, and I'm going to give this a cut, okay? It's better to cut it on the long side. You can always adjust this a little bit shorter, okay, to get this super dialed in. So it's going to pinch between both. So I'm going to just take my time here, get everything set nice and tight, get the 2 sticks in place. just like that, and now the trap is set. So at this point, you can take another stick, you can put some berries or some type of food or bait on here and either put it down inside or into the wall of this trap itself. When the animal would come by, what we're aiming for here is that the animal leans onto this stick. The stick should give way, trapping the animal down inside the hole. All right, guys, there you go. That is the rolling log trap. So pros and cons. Let's first talk about the benefits to this. Number one, as you saw, it's very easy to set up. It's not going to require you to have a lot of memorization around carving and notches. As long as you can like picture the trap in your head overall, I mean, it's just some sticks and a log. That's it, it's pretty easy. So that's a good one. Now, the cons of this trap, number one, you do have to have a log that's going to roll. So if you don't have means to cut something larger that's heavy to roll over the hole you dig, that can be a little bit of a problem. So I definitely say that is one of the cons to this trap. The other issue with this is if you get an animal that naturally digs in the dirt and you throw it in a hole and cover the hole, it's going to dig itself out most likely, or climb up the wall of the hole and get itself out. So in a situation like this, that can be a problem. And then if the animal is down inside that and you roll the log away, they're fast little buggers. So you got to be super quick about that. So how do I rate this? One thumb up, one thumb down. I mean, it's okay. It's cool. It's a fun one. I would definitely suggest going out and trying it and see what you think about it. As far as practicality goes, you got to put it to work yourself. So this was Dan Wolk of Coalcracker Bushcraft. If you enjoyed this video, hit like and subscribe down below. You can also check us out at coalcrackerbushcraft.com for all our classes, our gear, and our blog. And until the next video, stay in the woods.